Okay, I uploaded one, actually two videos that got a pretty good view count, but the reason why I'm making this video in particular is because the video that's playing in the background right now, looping, uh, I had some questions on like what were the mods that I installed, and I even had like a friend ask me like what mods did I use in order to get the game looking like this. Um, Take in mind this is the Java edition version of Minecraft, obviously. It's not the new vibrant visuals, so you will need a pretty high-end PC in order to get this to run smoothly at least. So what I have is a 4070 Ti Super, a 7800X 3D, with 64 gigabytes RAM. You don't need 64 gigabytes RAM. I'd say like at least 16 gigabytes would be good enough for this. Um, and then I also have mods installed. You cannot get this normally without mods. So I will show you real quick what the mods are. I have the game running in the background right now. It is not that taxing. I can record the game while it's open in the background. The game isn't running right now, so it's not as taxing, but this is the mods I have installed. So if you install Simply Optimized, that is a good um, starter for getting these to work. And then what I installed afterwards was um, Distant Horizons, Iris shaders, and then with Iris shaders, I installed um, a shader pack called Complementary Shaders. Where is it? Right here. Complementary Shaders. Those are the things that made the game look different. I don't know why is my camera not focusing. There it goes. So with those mods, it makes the game look really good. So that's what I recommend. Now the terrain feature that you saw in the video, that was from Terrorith. Now Terralith, all it does is it changes how the biomes spawn, and it changes what spawns in those biomes. So it's not vanilla, but it's as close as vanilla by making it look prettier without actually adding anything to the game itself. Um, it literally just changes features of the game that's already in the game. It does not add new blocks or anything like that. It just adds new biomes. So terrain generation, that's all it changes. I also added Sound Physics Remastered, which makes the game sound a lot more realistic, especially when you go into caves and you're walking around. It actually sounds like you're walking in a cave instead of just the normal walking sound. Um, so that adds a little bit more depth to it. Now, for the game itself, as you can see, I can run the game perfectly fine. No issues, and you can see like in the distance there's the clouds, the water reflections, the leaves are moving a little bit, which adds a little bit more depth to the game, I feel like. There is some artifacts every once in a while, but that's just from the game. Recaching the shader every once in a while. And you can adjust the cloud height to whatever you want. I set it to 140 blocks because it looks nice. It makes the floating islands like right above the clouds, so it looks kind of like how Terraria has the islands above the clouds, or on the clouds, I should say. So that's how I like to set this up. So what I like to do is with the Distant Horizon mod, it's going to be right here next to your FOV. I set it to 256, and I usually set it to high or extreme for the quality, but then it changes to custom. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's lowering the setting because my PC isn't able to keep up, or if I'm running out of VRAM. Can't really tell. It doesn't look like I'm running out of VRAM. And then the CPU load. I set it to aggressive because my CPU can handle it, but I would recommend balance because that will keep your game running at least over 60 FPS if it can handle it. And that's how I prefer it. Some people run like 200 blocks or 192 or 128. I run 256 because it gives it that nice distance to where I cannot indistinguish the individual blocks when I look into my screen and I'm playing on 1440p. So I can see more pixels than someone on 1080p. So if you're playing on 1080p, you can probably get away with half of what I'm using. So instead of 256, you can use like 128, and you can probably not tell that much of a difference. Um, for complementary shaders, in order to get it to look like this, actually, time set. Let's just do day. So it's morning time. So in order to get that nice, um, in order to get those nice like cloud shadows in the distance, I don't know if it's as noticeable right now for you guys, but with distant horizons, you can see the like subtle changes to the brightness levels out in the distance. That is not my render distance, that is the distant horizons, which is loading a fake chunk. So I can see it, but it's not a real chunk that's been loaded. It is based off of the world seed, so it's going to be more accurate than just loading straight up imaginary chunks, but it's not completely accurate to what's actually there. It's just an approximation of what should be there based on your world seed. So you see up in the right corner, uh, yeah, the top right corner. Uh, if you, oh, let's not do that, please. So if you see on the corner right here, you see the difference in the lighting levels. That's from the shader adding cloud shadows to the distant horizons. With distant horizons, you have to use a shader that specifically works with distant horizons. If you don't use it, it's going to look janky and wonky. So the setting that I use for my shader to get the clouds to work, and this took me forever to figure out because for some reason content creators that upload like shader pack videos and modding Minecraft videos, I think Asian Half Squat, he actually got me interested in Distant Horizons. I watched a couple of his videos, and some of the videos did not include any directions on how to get clouds to render in the distance. Some of them did. Once I found it out, I was like, finally, at least I know how to do it. I believe it is in Atmosphere. Yeah, you go to Atmosphere and then Clouds, and then you're going to turn Cloud Shadows on. That will render cloud shadows in the distance and up close. That's how I got the clouds figured out and how I got them to actually render. For the actual shader pack settings itself, I used the visual style Unbound. It looks the greatest, and I believe Asian Half Squat as well also uses it. Um, my RP that I use is integrated PBR plus, so creates um, it creates like reflection and transparency effects based on the block. Uh, I think it looks good. I don't really need to install another texture pack in order to get anything different because I do like Minecraft's vanilla textures. I grew up with it, so I prefer it. Maybe I could do like a faithful 32, but I just 16x gets the vibes. The integrated PBR looks nice. The profile I choose is high. Sometimes I go for ultra, but ultra is very taxing and it causes a lot of stutters for my system at least. High GPU warning. That's funny because I use NVIDIA Broadcast to key out my background because I don't have an actual green screen. But besides that, the lighting, I don't touch any of this besides, oh, let's see, the camera settings. I turned bloom, vignette, and motion blur off, and lens flare off. I I don't like using those settings because when I play Minecraft, I like to look like how it should look through my eyes as much as possible because Minecraft isn't real. But I don't like playing video games where it looks like I'm looking through a camera lens. I don't like that. If I'm first person, I don't want to look like I'm looking through a GoPro. I want to look like it's my eyes. My eyes don't have lens flare. I don't have bloom. I don't have vignette. I don't know how to say that word. I don't have motion blur. Like in real life, there is no motion blur. Motion blur is made for movies and cameras. That way, you don't see the individual frames and it looks smoother as it's transitioning. Your eyes automatically adjust the frame rate automatically based on what you're looking at and the speed of it. So I play at 240 hertz, but obviously I'm not getting 240 hertz. I'm getting like 60 right now, and that's because I'm in the air. If I go down to the ground, I should get like 70 to 80. Oh, there you go. 60. I almost got 70. There's 70. I think it's because I'm recording right now. But besides that, uh, that's what I like to use. I don't like motion blur or anything like that. I always disable that. People who like motion blur, good for them. I hate motion blur. So what I will also show you is in order to make the textures packs or in order to make the shader pack and distant horizons work correctly, I also found out that you have to go to this little instance settings icon, go to the Java and memory, and you have to create custom memory allocation. I turned mine to 16 gigabytes because I have 64 gigabytes, so why not allocate as much as possible? And that's what I did. And it fixed any issue I had with distant horizons because on the default, I think 2 gigabyte memory allocation, it was running into issues and it just wasn't loading any chunks beyond like maybe 64 chunks. But as you can see, if I pull this up on the right here, you can see that it's constantly going like it's almost hitting 7 gigabytes of memory. So that's why I say 16 gigabytes is fine. You can allocate just 8 of your gigabytes to the game itself, and it should run perfectly fine. Me allocating 16 gigabytes of RAM is too much already, so I can probably lower it to like 10, maybe 9. But I just went for 16 because it's a quarter of my memory. And taking mine with the 7800X3D, I'm using DDR5, so if you're using like an older DDR4 platform, you're probably going to have different memory allocation buffers because your memory is going to be slower, so it's probably going to keep it in your memory a lot more. God, look how beautiful this is. I love this. This is so beautiful. Like, I wish vibrant visuals looked like this, honestly. Like, this just looks so beautiful. And the water shadows, like, you can see the difference in the shadow quality on this as well because over here it's dark, but over here where there's no cloud on it, you can see it's bright. Same with right there. So the shadow quality is pretty good. It's not using ray tracing. This is all rasterization. So you don't need an RTX card. You don't need an NVIDIA card per se to get this to run. You can use an AMD card and it should run pretty good. So whatever equivalent to a 4070 Ti Super, which I think is the 7900 XTX, I could be wrong, maybe the 7900, you should get similar results, if not better, because AMD has better rasterization in some cases. But this just looks so good. And as you can see in the distance, you see how you can kind of see the flower petals individually right there. You look down there and it's starting to blur together. That's what Distant Horizons does. So it loads more chunks, but the texture on that individual block gets more simplified in order to prevent um, in order to prevent your game crashing and you get higher FPS. So it takes away as many stutters as possible with Java Edition. So hopefully, hopefully that helped you guys because it took me a long time to figure that out for myself. And I was honestly getting frustrated with Distant Horizons because I really wanted to do what the other YouTubers were doing. I wanted to just experience that game. I didn't want to make YouTube videos on texture packs and shader packs, but I can. But I just wanted to actually play Minecraft the way they were playing because it looked beautiful. So hopefully my video explaining some of the issues I ran into can help you run the shader pack the way they were running it. So I'm just going to end the video here. Bye.